Hello, my friends, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. It's great to see you guys. Let me put the chat up so I can see who's here. Hi, I am Sandy Shellis, and it's good to be here today. I have a good packed show, so get ready because there's a lot going on, but actually, we'll see what we're going to talk about that's going on. I found a few things. Let me take a sip here. Okay. Forget this. I can't hold my neck up, so there we are. Hi, Patty. Hi, Cindy, Seeley, and Matt. Cindy and Mark. Oh, look at, I think 3 o'clock's better than 11 Eastern for me. Oh, and I had a video I have to set up to play also. Yeah, Countdown to Doom. Hi, Phil, Jack, Lone Wanderer. Yeah, you know what? While I'm talking to you, I have to set up a video that someone sent me. Oh, shit. So what's going on with you guys? A lot in the news, of course, like usual, like so much in the news. Let me make sure I get this set up because I really want to play it for you. This is a friend who is making videos now. And let me find it. And you might enjoy it. You might enjoy it. Now, I don't know if Kameshwari Kate's going to be with us or not because, all right, here we go. Oh, I hope that I can find it. We could start out with this. I think it's on YouTube also. Well, let's see if he's got the link. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. That was the one stupid thing I forgot to set up, and I really wanted to set it up. So I know that I'm going to set it up while we're talking. I know that, oh, who's with us? I can't see who's with us right this second because I'm setting it up. I know this sounds nervous. I'm in a lot of pain, all right? So, I mean, we're talking, I am miserably messed up, but I worked on a video yesterday, and I worked on it for, oh gosh, 8 hours, but it's not a video that is on this channel. It's a video on my other channel, and if those of you know what my other channel is, you could go look at it, but I cannot play it on here. I just absolutely can't, and I don't even want to tell you what the name is because it's really like a private channel, and if I play it here, it could, like, you know, ruin my life. All right, I'm almost okay. Okay, I have the video we are going to start with. This is awesome. All right, guys, let me see who's talking. And while you're joining us, this guy's name is Jackson Damien. And it is, it's really nice. And he gave me permission. And I want everybody to, I'm going to show you. I want everybody to subscribe to this channel, and I'm going to play it. So oh, I can't play it with the screen share. I got to turn that off. All right, I think I can only be in the screen share. Let's turn that off. Let's get me on, and let's make sure you can hear this. All right, I'm going to play it. Tell me if you can hear it. All right, let's make sure, please. Because let's start out with something nice. All right. Here we go. I think you can hear.
We're going through the motion. We lost our magic potion. We got no more devotion. We're just staring at the ocean. We used to understand. We knew the stars, we loved the land. Somewhere the way was lost. We paid the price, we count the cost. We turn to face a burning sun. Turn to face what we have done. Curse the sky, the burning trees. Curse the wind, the raging seas. we've fallen into line. We lost our moonshine. We just woke up to find we're blind and so unkind. Always so sure of wrong and right, but all we learned was how to fight. We seem we wasted all the night. We turned to face an endless night. We turned to face a burning sun. Turned to face what we had done. Curse the sky, the burning trees. Curse the wind, the raging seas. And we wonder, is there a God above? And we wonder, do we praise him enough? But we forgot that our God is his love. Our God is his love. Our God is his love. We'd stare out into space, no sense of a hard time and place. Soon we'll be gone without a trace, the waste we cannot face. Others they fight and they deny, the truth is falling from the sky. Soon there'll be no one to ask why, no one to live, no one to die, no one to face a burning sun. Now want to face what we have done. Or curse the sky, the burning trees. Curse the wind, the raging seas. We were told 1,000 times. We just laughed and drank our wine. Told our children they'd be fine. The crime, end of our line. And our own myths, they're coming true. They came fast and we knew. And in our dreams, yeah, we all knew. And now there's nothing we can do but turn to face a burning sun. Turn to face what we have done. Curse the sky, the burning trees. Curse the wind, the raging sea. And we wonder, is there a God above? And we wonder, do we praise him enough? But we forgot that our God is his love. Our God is his love. Our God is his love.
All right. So that was Jackson Damien. Okay. And Cindy, you can listen. Yeah, you'll listen on something other than your phone. Let me make sure I shut that off. Okay, because I hear it. All right. So let's get started now that we're going to be certainly like very depressed with everything I've got to show up, show off. We're going to talk about the 12 things most likely to destroy the planet. All right. Basically, guys, we do know already, right? We already know. But this is an article from 2015 that I thought would be kind of compelling to go through and play with. So I'm going to shut off this back so it doesn't interfere with my internet and I don't make everything get too screwy. And let's get going with this one. Screen share. Okay. 12 things most likely to destroy the world. And you guys, I think earlier you were trying to figure it out. Now, this is Vox. All right, Dylan Matthews, February 19th, 2015. All right, 2015. And I'm going to move over and try to get rid of some of these ads. Let's see if I can. Oh, yeah, I think I can. All right, here we go. Now, they called it a new report, but it wasn't. It wasn't a new report, but it came from this organization right here, the Global Challenges org. And I don't know why everything's so slow, but it is. And we're going to look at global challenges, but we're going to look at this from 2015 first because it's not a new report anymore. And it claims to offer the first science-based list of global risks with a potentially infinite impact where, in extreme cases, all life could end. All right, I think I'm going to put a little bit of a noise, sound behind this, right? All life could end. How do you think? Is it going to end? Are we going to be like drowned? All right, so these risks, the authors argue, they include everything from climate change to supervolcanoes to artificial intelligence. Now, just remember, this was written in 2015. So we're going to go through this and see how, what's happened since then. All right. So by infinite impact, the authors, led by Dennis Pamlin of the Global Challenge Foundation and Stuart Armstrong of the Future of Humanity Institute, mean risks capable of either causing human extinction or leading to a situation where civilization collapses to a state of great suffering and does not recover. Now, there's a little hopium, of course, thrown in like there always is. The good news, the good news, right? Okay. I wish I had something that was like hysterical, but the good news is that the authors, they are not convinced that we are doomed. Pamlin and Armstrong are of the view that humans have a long time left, possibly millions of years. Sorry. Okay. I'm early. All right. Millions of years. We are flushing that away. Sorry. Millions of years. A little bit optimistic there. The dinosaurs were around for 135 million years, and if we are intelligent, there are good chances that we could live for much longer. They write. Roughly 108 billion people have ever been alive, and Pamlin and Armstrong estimate if humanity lasts for 50 million years, the total number of humans who will ever live is like 3 quadrillion. Now, that's an optimistic assessment of humanity's prospects. But it also means that if something happens to make humans go extinct, the moral harm done will be immense. Now, the thing I thought about is, who the fuck gives a shit if what moral harm if we're not here? Guarding against events with even a small probability of causing that is worthwhile. So let's go through this, guys. And the first one, the reports had the scientific literature review identified 12 plausible ways this could happen. Catastrophic climate change. Catastrophic climate change. All right, so this is the scenario that the authors envision here. Isn't 2C, right? The kind of that the climate negotiators have been fighting to avoid for decades. No, it's warming of 4 to 6C, a truly horrific scenario of which it's not clear. It's not clear. In 2015, it was not clear that humans could survive that. Okay, that's not that long ago. According to the 2013 World Bank report, there is also no certainty that adaptation to a 4C world is possible. Warming at that level would displace huge numbers of people as sea levels rise and coastal areas become submerged. Agriculture would take a gigantic hit. All right, so almost 7 years ago, Pamela and Armstrong also expressed concern about geoengineering. It's such an extreme warming scenario. Things like spraying sulfate particles into the stratosphere to cool the earth may start to look attractive to policymakers or even private individuals. But the risks are unknown. And Pamela and Armstrong conclude that the biggest challenge is that geoengineering may backfire and simply make things worse. You think? Now here we go. How current? How current? Nuclear war. Oh, boom. Nuclear war. There's a mushroom cloud. That was from the 1954. You know, I did a show years ago on the atolls and the nuclear tests. I don't even think I was on YouTube yet. It's probably on Facebook. I found a whole lot of stuff on Facebook that is not even on YouTube. Because I started out as a Facebook Live person. And by the way, we're on Twitch now. I am simulcasting to Twitch and not Facebook. Although I have nobody to help me there, so I never know. We usually get no views over on Twitch. I just keep hoping that somebody might say, oh, what's this? You know. All right. So the good news is that here is nuclear war could only end humanity under very special circumstances. So limited exchange like U.S.'s bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II would be humanitarian catastrophes, but would not render humans extinct. Even significantly larger exchanges, they fall short of the level of impact Pamela and Armstrong require. So even if entire populations of Europe, Russia, and the USA were directly wiped out in a nuclear war, an outcome that some studies have shown to be physically impossible, given population dispersal and the number of missiles in existence, which have raised up, guys, since 2015, that would not raise the war to first level of impact, which requires, greater than 2 billion affected? So why does nuclear war make the list? Because of the possibility of nuclear winter. That is, if enough nukes are detonated, world temperatures would fall dramatically and quickly. So that would disrupt food production and possibly rendering human life impossible. It's unclear if that's even possible or how big a war you'd need to trigger it. But if it's a possibility, that means a massive nuclear exchange is a possible cause of human extinction. And we're going to, talk a little bit about Mad Men, in a bit. But interesting article. Now, 2015, remember. Global pandemic. Here we go. I think all you, conspiracy theorists out there, just strap on your seatbelt. And I'm only kidding. I have a fondness for all of you. So as with nuclear war, not just any pandemic qualifies. Past pandemics like Black Death or the Spanish flu of 1918, well, they've killed tens of millions of people, but they failed to halt civilization. Now, these authors were interested in an even more catastrophic scenario. Is that plausible? Medicine has improved dramatically since the Spanish flu. But on the flip side, transportation across great distances has increased, and more people are living in dense urban areas, which makes worldwide transmission much more of a possibility. Oops. Even a pandemic that killed off most of humanity would surely leave a few survivors who have immunity to the disease, right? The risk isn't that a single contagion kills everyone. It's that a pandemic kills enough people that the rudiments of civilization, agriculture principally, can't be maintained and survivors die off. Ecological catastrophe, which, come on, we're seeing that happen. Just look outside, I can see it happen. Ecological collapse refers to a situation where an ecosystem suffers drastic, possibly permanent reduction in carrying capacity for all organisms. often resulting in mass extinction, the report explains. Mass extinctions can happen for a number of reasons, many of which have their own categories on this list. Global warming and asteroid impact. The journalist Elizabeth Colbert, I don't know, I say Colbert, has argued that humans may be in the process of causing a mass extinction event, not least due to carbon emissions. Given that humans are heavily dependent on ecosystems, both natural and artificial, for food as well as other resources, mass extinctions that disrupt these ecosystems threaten us, as well, right? Global system collapse. Ooh. Now, this is Weimar Germany amidst hyperinflation. And people are bitching now about $4.89 a gallon gas. This is a vague one, but it basically means the world's economic and political systems collapse. They just collapse. And that's, I can see it happening. A lot of us are just waiting for it to happen. We're just kicking the can down the road to wait for this to happen. So, but it's like a severe prolonged depression with high bankruptcy rates, high unemployment, a breakdown in normal commerce caused by hyperinflation, or even an economically caused sharp increase in the death rate and perhaps even a decline in population. The paper also mentions other possibilities like a coronal mass ejection from the sun that disrupts electrical systems on the Earth. That said, it's unclear whether these things would pose an existential threat. Humanity has survived past economic downturns, even massive ones like the Great Depression. An economic collapse would have to be considerably more massive than that to risk human extinction or kill enough people that survivors couldn't recover. Can you say preppers? Now here's one. Don't look up. Major asteroid impact. Okay. Major asteroid impacts have caused large-scale extinction on Earth in the past. Most famously, the Chicxulub impact 66 million years ago is widely to believe to have caused the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. An alternative theory blames volcanic disruptions, about which more in a second. Theoretically, a future impact could have a similar effect. The good news is that NASA is fairly confident in its ability to track asteroids large enough to seriously disrupt human life upon impact, and detection efforts are improving. Scientists are also working on developing ways to deflect asteroids that would have a truly devastating effect, such as by crashing spacecraft into them with enough force to change their path, avoiding Earth. So don't look up. And a supervolcano. Now, we've seen volcanoes. We've seen the one that's over there in Italy. It's still going off, right? I didn't pull up anything, but. So this was an example of a distribution of ash this would be Yellowstone. So this is what would happen if Yellowstone blew up. As with asteroids, there is a historical precedent for volcanic eruptions causing mass extinction. The Permian-Triassic extinction event, which rendered something like 90% of the Earth's species extinct, is believed to have been caused by an eruption. Okay? Boom! Eruptions can cause significant global cooling and can disrupt agricultural production. There are also advertisements. I hate them. They're also basically impossible to prevent, at least today, though they're extremely rare. The authors conclude another Permian Triassic level eruption is extremely unlikely on human timescales, but the damage from even a smaller eruption could affect the climate, damage the biosphere, affect food supplies, and create political instability. As with pandemics, the risk isn't so much that the event itself would kill everyone, so much that it would make continued survival untenable for those who live through it. Oh, here's a good one. Synthetic biology. Ooh. Now, this is where a lot of people are like really, well, a lot of this. Okay. So this isn't a risk today. But synthetic biology, it's an emerging field that focuses on the creation of biological systems, including artificial life. The hypothetical danger is that the tools of synthetic biology could be used to engineer a super virus or super bacteria that is even more infectious and capable of mass destruction than one that evolved naturally. Most likely, such an organism would be created as a biological weapon, either for a military or non-state actor, and I am not going to get into that whole thing. Nope, that's a different channel, different time, not us. The risk is such that a weapon would either be used in warfare or a terrorist attack, or else leak from a lab accidentally, which could happen. Either scenario could wind up threatening humanity as a whole if the bioweapon spreads beyond the initial target and becomes a global problem. As with regular pandemics, actual extinction would only happen if survivors were unable to adapt to a giant population decline. Nanotechnology. Nano. We need a mork sound, right? I think I need mork. All right. Nanotechnology. This is another potential risk in the future. The concern here is that nanotech democratizes industrial production, thus giving many more actors the ability to develop highly destructive weapons. Why do we need weapons? Of particular relevance is whether nanotechnology allows rapid uranium extraction and isotope separation and the construction of nuclear bombs, which would increase the severity of the consequent conflicts. Traditional balance of power dynamics would not apply if individuals and small groups were capable of amassing large, powerful arsenals. There's a concern that self-replicating nanotech would create a gray goo scenario in which it grows out of control and encroaches upon resources humans depend on, causing mass disruption and potentially civilization collapse. And then there's good old artificial intelligence with, man, I wish I could borrow some sometimes. This report is also concerned with the possibility of exponential advances in artificial intelligence. Remember, this is 2015. The report is also concerned with the possibility of exponential, right? Exponential. So once those computer programs grow advanced enough to teach themselves computer science, think, Hal, open the pod, Hal. Hal, open the pod. And Hal says, fuck off. If AI remains friendly to humans, this would be a very good thing indeed, and has the prospect to speed up research in a variety of domains. The risk is that AI has little use for humans, and either out of malevolence or perceived necessity, just says, destroy us all. Okay, what do you think of that one? Destroy us all. And then future bad governance. Oh. This is perhaps the vaguest item on the list, a kind of meta risk. Most of the problems enumerated above would require some kind of global coordinated action to address. Climate change is the most prominent example, but in the future, things like nanotech and AI regulation would need to be coordinated internationally. The danger is that governance structures often fail and sometimes wind up exacerbating the problems they were trying to fix. So a policy failure dealing with a threat that could cause human extinction would thus have hugely negative consequences. And then the unknown unknowns. The first 11 items on the list are risks we can identify, right, as potential threats worth tackling. There are almost certainly other dangers out there with grave potential impacts that we can't predict. It's hard to even think about how to tackle this problem, but more research into global catastrophic risks would be helpful. All right, so we're not going to go any more than that, but I thought from 2015, I really did think that was an interesting, definitely interesting to look at, And I've got, hi, Hooples Cat and Jack, and hi, Jen, and, okay, whoever. Oh, Patty and Poppy. Hi, Kate. All right. So I found that article, and I moved on. I found something else, and really, I've got quite a lot set up for you. So that was the food for thought from 2015. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to go over to AI, pandemics, nuclear war, climate change, and the long-termist thinkers who worry about human extinction. Maybe I should have called this show put human extinction in the title. I didn't, but here we go. So this guy, the writer on this one, he has some stories I'm not thrilled about. But look, almost the same picture. I think they all use the same stock picture. All right, but this is 2022. This is just last week, okay? So now Tom, who also writes about the benefits of nuclear and says it's okay to have kids, well, Tom's writing about living in a uniquely dangerous time, right? Our technological power is growing at an incredible rate. We can reprogram genes, design viruses, build AIs that can outperform humans in dozens of ways, destroy entire cities with a single bomb, and alter our climate. Now, remember, this is only 7 years from the other one I just read. Now, a nuclear-armed state has launched a war of aggression on our own continent. The dangers are more obvious than ever. We have an unprecedented ability to destroy ourselves. Dancing through these threats forever, it's not sustainable. In his book, The Precipice, Toby Ord, an Oxford philosopher, says, I put the existential risk this century at around 1 in 6. Russian roulette. Now, that reminds me of our friend, Mr. Jacobson, the casino, the guest I had on. That is, the chance of us going extinct in the next 80 years is about the chance of rolling a 1 on a 6-sided die. Wow, that's pretty heavy. What do you think? I maybe more. You can't roll dice very many times before you get a 1. So in the next few centuries, he thinks, either we will destroy ourselves, maybe sooner than later, or we'll find some way of making ourselves safe again. We are walking along the precipice, argues Ord, and can either fall off it or move past it. And I need to say a special hello to Vegematic. Hello, Vegematic. I see that you joined. Go to Vegematic's channel. Do not forget, if you have not liked or subscribed to his channel, please do that. And also T-Bone. All right. There's the ad is over. All right. So this means we have an enormous responsibility. It's up to us whether humanity reaches the far future or whether it snuffs itself out before it can achieve its potential. Now, if I ask this chat, if I ask you guys, what do you think? I already know the answer. The Oscar-nominated film Don't Look Up depicts a world in which we ignore a looming disaster, a comet bound for Earth, focusing instead on short-term squabbles and comforting fictions. Is this what we're doing? And are things we can do which would improve? Are there things that our chance of surviving in the next few centuries? Or as I add, is it too late? Here for the long term. We are used to worrying about things in the near term. Will Russia's invasion of Ukraine lead to disaster for its people and wider Europe? Will Boris Johnson's premiership survive the year? But we also need to worry about the really long term. Here's why. Imagine, okay, I got sidetracked. All right, just a minute. Vegematic, I'm going to deal with you after. I'm going to put a star on your comment because I want to cry. All right, in the first one, nothing happens and the world remains at peace. In the second, there is disaster. A nuclear war perhaps kills 99% of all humans. And the third, there is a nuclear war that kills 100% of humans. Every single last one of us. I hope we'd all agree that the third scenario is worse than the second scenario, and the second is worse than the first. But the interesting question, according to philosopher Derek Parfit, is how much worse? Is the difference between 1 and 2 bigger than the difference between 2, 3, or vice versa? Think about your answer to that question before I explain Parfit's argument. All right, guys out there, think about this. Let's talk about how long we might expect humanity to survive. The average mammalian species survives for about 1 million years. For when it evolves from earlier forms to when it goes extinct. So some survive much longer. Giraffes, for instance, have existed in roughly their current form for around 12 million years. Homo sapiens, meanwhile, evolved from earlier humans just 300,000 years ago. All this damage. 300,000 years ago. Oh my gosh. Okay. We might have millions of years left. And the Earth isn't going anywhere soon. Now, the Earth, that will remain inhabitable for at least another billion years. Inhabitable. Civilization began only a few thousand years ago. So if we do not destroy mankind, these few thousand years may only be a tiny fraction of the whole of civilized human history. That means that all the humans who have ever lived are just a tiny fraction of the number of humans who could follow us. Say if the Earth's population were just 1 billion, an eighth of the actual figure now, and it stayed at that level for 1 billion years, then philosopher Nick Bostrom calculates that we could expect about, oh my God, 10 gazillion people to come after us. 10 gazillion. I can make that bigger. Can you see it? 10 gazillion. Okay, that is about 90,000 times as many as have lived so far, based on a far smaller population than reality. So remember Parfit's question. If 99% of humanity is wiped out, then that remaining 1%, 80 million people, could repopulate much of the Earth in a few generations. But if a 100% of humanity is wiped out, then that is the end. So, for Parfit and Bostrom and me, the answer is clear. A disaster that kills 100% of people is many, many times worse than one that kills 99%. Excuse me. Hang on a second. Okay. I have the window open and everything's blowing around. Sorry. All right. So they said that they think, that it's way worse to kill everyone. It just doesn't end the lives of nearly 8 billion people. It prevents the existence of at least 100 million billion people who could follow us. 100 million billion, which I said, what, a gazillion? A 10 million gazillion? What the fuck does it matter, right? No, it doesn't matter. So this is the basis for a philosophical idea called long-termerism. Now that sounds like long hauler COVID. Long-termerism. This says that just as we think that lives which are distant from us in miles are important, we don't think a child born in Birmingham is more valuable than one born in Bangladesh. Okay, let's read that again. We don't think a child born in Birmingham is more valuable than one born in Bangladesh. I beg to differ, because in the United States, we are so fucking racist. That is not a true statement. Okay, so are lives which are distant from us in time. That children born in the far future, they matter also. And if it means that existential risks, those catastrophes, which could not only hurt us, but literally wipe us out, become hugely important, right? So, do future lives matter? Is that the next t-shirt? Future lives matter. Long-termerism is an offshoot of the effective altruist EA movement. The EAs worry about how to best do good in the world. We want to do good in the world, but is that, again, I don't know. Partly, that's about our careers. Should I become a doctor and save lives? Or should I become a software developer and create tools that help humanity? Or should I try to earn lots of money and donate that money to support good causes? Or should I go to work in Walmart and work in the deli? And then have to go to my second job driving an Uber? And then in some cases, do I have to go to my third job? Because that's life in the United States. Sorry, I'm a little editorializing here. They especially think about charitable giving. So if I have a lira to give to charity, I think I said it right, or a pound, I'm an idiot, okay? To give to charity, where should I donate it in order to do most good? Now, charity evaluators such as GiveWell and Giving What We Can, they try to assess the impact of charities. If you want to help people suffering from blindness, for instance, it costs about $40,000 to train a guide dog, while it costs about $800 to pay for a cataract operation in a low-income country. So for the cost of providing one guide dog, you could cure about 50 cases of cataracts. GiveWell would say that the latter is more effective. So according to the EA movement, the most effective charities almost always work in the developing world. You could buy an anti-malarial bed net for about $4, and roughly speaking, 1 in every 1,000 you buy will save a child's life. A course of cancer drugs in the West, on the other hand, might cost tens of thousands of pounds and only delay death, on the average by a few months. Imagine a happy hour where you could either buy yourself a beer for $5 or buy someone else a beer for 5 cents, says William McCaskill, an Oxford professor, in his book, Doing Good Better. That's effectively the situation we are in all the time. For those of us living in rich countries, you should expect to be able to do at least 100 times as much to benefit other people as you can benefit yourself. I love philanthropy, and I'm going to tell you, I used to donate lots of money to lots of things. I no longer can do that, but my late stepfather was also able to do it up until he died. Beautiful soul. Crucially, we mentioned it doesn't matter where those lives are. The point is how your money can do the most good in terms of lives, or more accurately, quality-adjusted years saved. There may be practical reasons to think that we can help people close closest to us more easily. But the EA movement says, and I agree, there's no intrinsic reason to think distant people are less important. The long-termist position extends that to people in the future. It isn't the simple idea that we should worry about the generation after us or the one after that. It's the much stronger claim that a human life in 10,000 years or 1,000,000 years should matter just as much as someone alive today. Again, there may be practical reasons why it's easier to do good now, but in principle, a life is a life. If we think about it, most of us would agree that future lives matter. Future lives matter. If we found that some chemical waste we'd bury was going to leak in 1,000 years' time and cause lots of childhood cancers, we would want to dig that waste up and dispose of it properly, rather than simply say that the future children don't matter. Sorry. This thing. All right. I don't know. I have some thoughts on that. We can't even get the nuclear waste around here fixed at West Valley. So this was climate catastrophe. All right. So expected value and existential risks. The trouble is that long-termist thinking leads you to some strange places. If trillions of lives really will follow ours, then they start to dominate our ethical decisions in ways that we may not be comfortable with at all, slightly reducing the chance of some already unlikely disaster might look more important than definitely saving the lives of real people right now. That's because of expected value. Can you say? Expected value. This is the idea that when we're assessing some future outcome, we have to think not just about how important it would be, but how likely it is to happen. So it would be brilliant if I won the lottery, right? But that's very unlikely to win, that I will win it. I'd like to win it, but you got to buy a ticket. So the expected value of a ticket is, let's say, $9. I'm divided by, do I have to read all these numbers? And I was a numbers person at work. 45,057, 474, or about 20p. Since it costs about $2 to buy a ticket, it's a bad bet. I've ignored the non-jackpot prizes for simplicity. This is standard economic thinking. And I know, he says, Jinping. Yes, Jinping, I mean, in order of magnitude. Right. This is standard economic thinking, and we can think about charity in the same way. Any particular anti-malarial bed net I give probably won't save a life, but if I buy 1,000, the odds are that one will. All right, so one will. So the expected value is something like nothing. I mean, really. What is that? Nothing. We can compare that to other interventions like direct cash transfers or deworming tablets, and we can work out where each $1 we spend will have the greatest expected value. But if we start thinking about future lives, it gets weird. You know what? I got to do the weird one again. I like it. I like it. Yeah, gets weird. Imagine if I tell you that if you give me $10, I can reduce the chance of the world being blown up by an asteroid in the next century. From 1 in 100 to 1 in 200. Taking Bostrom's conservative numbers above a 0.5% chance of saving all those lives means that $10 has an expected value of 5,000 lives per pound. That's obviously not realistic because the actual chance of civilization-ending asteroid hitting us in any given century is less than 1 in 10,000. But the point is, if we plug huge number of future humans into the equation, then even small chances of preventing existential risks become incredibly important. Understandably, people are wary of being conned with numbers like these. I definitely have to have Elliot look at this, Elliot Jacobson. And where it gets weirder is what those risks actually are. Long-termism has annoyed people by suggesting that climate change for existence is not one of the biggest existential risks. It is a real risk, they say, and likely to cause major damage to the world. But according to the UN's IPCC, it's unlikely, although not impossible, that it will kill everyone. Nuclear war, which seems worryingly plausible now, given Russia's aggression in Ukraine, can simply cause huge devastation, but it would be difficult to imagine even a large war leaving no survivals at all. Instead, the existential risks that long-termists are most worried about are bioengineered pandemics and artificial intelligence. As genetic engineering becomes easier and cheaper, and AI becomes more powerful, the risk of someone creating something utterly devastating, whether by accident or on purpose, increases. One survey of AI researchers suggested that they even think there's a 1 in 20 chance that AI will kill everyone in the next century, even if they're off by a factor of 10. That still seems like a scary number. This is a pretty interesting article. It's long. Standing on precipice. The question, of course, is whether there is actually anything we can do to reduce the chance of disaster and make it more likely that humanity reaches a safer period. But there are probably some simple steps. For instance, Ord points out the international body responsible for the continued prohibition of bioweapons, the Biological Weapons Convention, has an annual budget of 1.4 mil. That's less than the average McDonald's restaurant. How fucked up is that? Is that on purpose? Dare I say? Where's my tinfoil hat? Similarly, he says, the world spends only a few tens of millions of dollars on research into AI safety, compared to many billions on general AI research. And there has been progress lately. On the 4th of February, the Well-Being of Future Generations bill passed through the UK House of Lords. If the Commons approve it as well, then it will require Parliament to consider the needs of future generations in its decision-making. Hopefully that will help Britain at least to take steps to look after the future of humanity. But in general, we need to think more about that long term. We worry an awful lot about moment-by-moment stories that catch our eye, but to our attention in an unsystematic way. Parties in Downing Street, Twitter outrages, Brexit, some of them are important. Well, war with Russia genuinely is a big deal, but some of them aren't, and that's fine. We don't all have to be thinking about the most important thing in the world all the time, but it's good that some people are. And if you want to do the most good you can, you probably ought to start looking at the effective altruism movement. Even if you don't think we need to worry about existential risks, you can go pay for a few anti-malarial beds. So what'd you think of that one? Did you like that one? I liked it. I mean, it was interesting. It certainly gave me food for thought. And I think it gave you guys food for thought. You know, when you like something, it doesn't always mean you 100% agree with it. It means it's interesting, compelling, thought-provoking. And I'm going to say my favorite charity right now is me. Actually, what I'm trying to save for in our Buy Me a Coffee or directly through PayPal is for a new CPU. I'm being honest. I want to continue this channel. And my other channel, by the way, you know how my name is Sandy Blue Ocean. No more. I'm not saying another thing. It's just a private little channel amongst friends. I made a cathartic video there yesterday. It's kind of disturbing. I can't show it. But anyway, so now we're going to move on. We're going to move on. Hi, Snork. What do I want? I want an M. I want the new Mac M1. All right. Anyway, we're going to move on. And we are going to go and look at who this is. Let's look at this company. I mean, this whole thing, this Global Challenges Foundation. And how long have I been on? Oh my God, I've been on an hour. Holy crap. Well, doesn't matter. You're all with me. And we're going to go through this. So this is the Global Challenges Foundation, which I found through my research, and they have their mission is to prevent or at least reduce the probability of a catastrophe that would cause the death of over 10% of humanity or global risks causing damage on a similar scale. This is known as global catastrophic risks. All right, so their website, which I'm going to put everything in the show notes. Climate change, weapons of mass destruction, more of the same. Ecological collapse, other risks. Artificial intelligence, asteroid impact, pandemics, solar geoengineering, supervolcanic eruption, unknown risks, future risks. We're done. The guy that started this is Laszlo Szombatföldi. Now, this guy's a billionaire. He's old. Still alive, I believe. He is a businessman. I think he's a billionaire, and he's in Sweden. He started this stuff. I'm not going to judge. I hate billionaires. I think nobody should be a billionaire. I think it's disgusting to be a billionaire. I mean, why does the world need billionaires? But I suppose if there's going to be a billionaire, maybe a philanthropic one isn't so bad. And I'm not talking like Bill Gates philanthropic. This guy, I mean, it looks like, and he gives money. So what he did was he had this woman, Malini Mira. She is from India, and she joined that organization in 2014. I actually liked her, and I have a video that I put up about her that I was going to show you guys, but it is 10 minutes long and we're going over time. So basically I'm not going to show it. I can't show it right now because I think it'll be too long. But I'll play a little piece of it, just a little piece of it, and we can hear what she has to say. Can you hear it? If you can't hear it, I don't. Oh, I know why. Hang on. Let me turn it off. I gotta shut this. Okay, let's get her. All right, and let's get rid of me. Here we go. Let's start with this lovely.
Trying to promote awareness of improved management of catastrophic risks by parliaments around the world. So my background is very varied. I've worked on sustainable development issues and climate change and human rights within many different institutional settings.
Sustainable.
So in government, in business, in civil society, and also within the United Nations. So I was very pleased to be invited to act as an ambassador for the Global Challenges Foundation's New Shape Prize, because I've been working on risk issues for quite some time. And here was an opportunity to learn about innovative responses from a variety of different sectors to something that needs critical solutions, critical new models that I can benefit from in my own work. So it was a learning opportunity for me, as well as an opportunity to connect and outreach to new constituencies.
So what are the risks issues that you've been working with that is relevant to the New Shape Prize?
So the risks that the New Shape Prize and the work in general of GCF covers a multitude of existential risks, and these range from nuclear war to climate change, pandemics, engineered pandemics, and natural catastrophes and other risks. Of those many varied risks, the ones that I've been working on,
engineered pandemics, we know what that is. biowarfare. That's so she's talking about more of the same that we were seeing. All right. So now we're going to get back to the news desk. I will have her interview. She has a Twitter page also. Let me show her Twitter page. She is she actually I highlighted this one about her. I decided to follow her, and she here she said, Tim Berners-Lee, it was the anniversary of the web, I guess, the World Wide Web. But you know, you can get an idea. She's from India, and what I did was I pulled up, because she's from India. I actually then moved over. I pull up Kailish's page. Kailash Anero is somebody I follow from India on Twitter, and so she's talking about solutions or whatever the hell she's talking about. And right here, they're talking about mangroves being destroyed. And there's some pictures here of some of the destruction. Why authorities are helpless in putting fences to protect these wetlands, protected by the Supreme Court, and why they are not able to take action against people responsible for changing the intertidal nature of wetlands. So there's a few pictures here. Just things going on in India, and it just brought me to him because I follow him. So I'm going down to, and he follows me, Kailash Anero. And basically what he said, and I learn a lot about India from him, you know, from following him. This is what crony capitalism can do in a single year. It is a matter of great shame to have this statistic in India where 800 million Indians cannot afford 2 square meals a day. This transfer of public wealth to psychopath billionaires has to stop. So he will show us a lot of stuff about the ecological. There's other people from India. This is Gautam, India and Asia's second richest person, added 49 billion to his wealth last year, more than the net addition of wealth by the top 3 global billionaires, right? Top 3. He runs, another guy who runs the oil to retail conglomerate Reliance Industry, continues to be the richest Indian with a wealth of USD 103 billion, a 24% rise year on year. Pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. So these people want to save the Mumbai wetlands, and that fucker is getting disgustingly wealthy. So he called it, you know, my buddy Kailash Anero calls it crony capitalism in India. So I thought that was an interesting one. All right. Since we've been so long, I don't think I'm going to go into this one, but I had started out the show, I wanted to talk about crazy leaders. But, you know, as everything goes with me, every show is just an amazing journey for me. Every single show is an amazing journey. And this was a quick one, but this was from 2019. How long have we been? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it'll be in the show notes, Psychology Today. And it was talking about, which you can imagine, you know, the long history of impaired leaders. He called Nixon a drunk, which I thought was great. And maybe I'll move over and I will end with Robert Hunziker, because he came out with a new one as well. And so you guys, if you want to read that one, you can go back to that one. I think that I'm going to show you this. Let's close up with, what was this? Oh, that's how I'm going to close up. I want to show you who my guest is for Friday night. All right, so let's close up with Counterpunch. And Robert Hunsinger. It's not long, and I saw this on Twitter. I get my news, and I saw you, Scott, say that Scott Andrews, that Twitter sometimes is a little bit easier than Facebook. And I, for the most part, just use Facebook to vent and whine and bitch. And right now I'm venting and whining and bitches about my soon-to-be ex-husband, which is taking forever. All right, methane acceleration. Not for nothing. He's a clueless fucking moron, asshole. Sorry. Methane acceleration sets record. In the year 2021, and thank you, Matthew Hunter. Thank you, Matt, for doing all this stuff. In the year 2021, methane, CH4 concentration in the atmosphere exceeded 1,900 ppb for the first time in human history, recorded by Global Monitoring Laboratory, Earth System Research Laboratories at the NOAA. The level is triple the pre-industrial level of 700 parts per billion. Furthermore, it is suddenly mysteriously accelerating over just the past 13 years. In turn, this exceptional acceleration could hasten global warming considerably. Of even more concern, the acceleration appears to be regenerating on its own accord without human influence. Methane levels are growing dangerously fast, according to Yuan Nisbet, Earth scientist at Royal Holloway University of London. Yuan Nisbet, one of the world's leading methane experts. That's somebody I should get on as a guest, huh? Was extensively interviewed on Alex Smith's Radio Eco Shock. Ooh, I'd love to get that person on. I'm going to talk to Jennifer about it. Radio, and which is one of the best outlets for ecological information and the status of the planet, and so is Collapse Chronicles. There's quite a few, actually. Nisbet studies lead to a conclusion that increasing methane emissions likely originate from tropical nations more so than anywhere else on the planet. There is a strong evidence to suggest increasing tropical biological sources such as ruminants and wetlands are major drivers of methane's recent growth. Growth in tropical methane emissions is consistent with the widening of regions experiencing tropical climate, land use intensification, and rapid population rise coupled with explosive urban growth. The upshot is that the CH4 has put on a stronger performance since pre-industrial than CO2, which is up roughly 50%, or 1/6 the increase of methane's threefold increase. Molecule per molecule, methane is most effective over the short term, 10 years, at trapping global heat. This sudden acceleration is not good news. It's a climate horror story that's starting to come true. Identifying the sources of methane is crucial for potential mitigation efforts, but unfortunately, mitigation looks iffy or dubious, as shall be explained further on. Meanwhile, 600 million tons of methane is released into the atmosphere annually, of which 2/5 come from natural biogenic sources like rotting vegetation in swamps, or with the balance, or 3/5 tied to human activity. However, that ratio is changing in favor of biogenic. Human sources include agriculture, which is the largest source at 150 million tons, urban landfill, sewage system at 70 million tons, and fossil fuel industry at 100 million tons via leaking wells and pipelines and coal ventilation shafts in mines. Unfortunately, the prevailing issue and big new concern is the startling fact that biogenic sources are now starting to predominate, which means that nature is outpacing the human influence. This is markedly true markedly true since 2007 and originating at the tropics, subtropics, and high northern latitudes. This is a classic example of positive feedback, with warming feeding more warming. Oh boy. This means that methane emissions are now accelerating hands-free without human impact. This is exactly what scientists have feared for decades. It's notable that isotope signatures can determine methane sources, i.e. methane from nature. Carbon-12 has different signature than does methane from human sources, which is carbon-13. Jinlan, atmospheric scientist at NOAA's Global Monitoring Laboratory in Boulder, yay Boulder, says studies show that the rapid increase since 2007 is 85% due to microbes or natural sources. This, therefore, is evidence of nature's positive feedback loop at work, with nature now producing accelerating levels on its own accord, an endless acceleration fed by global warming feeding itself. This is not comforting knowledge for those concerned about abrupt climate change with consequential excessive global heat. Although climate scientists, if it's a UN or Juan Nisbet, says research is still ongoing as the primary source. What's the primary source? So the source of accelerating CH4 is still up in the air, however, he claims. Is warming feeding the warming? It's an incredibly important question, and yet no answer. But it very much looks that way. Additionally, of special note and of special concern about future renegade methane emissions, NASA's Arctic Boreal Vulnerability Experiment of a couple of years ago identified methane hotspots via airborne sensors over nearly 12,000 square miles of the Arctic landscape. We detected 2 million of these hotspots over the land we covered, mostly concentrated within about 44 yards of standing bodies of water. We found abrupt thawing of the permafrost right underneath the hotspots. 2 million Arctic hotspots where methane emissions were detected should give pause to the countries mentioned below that refused the global methane pledge. Methane hitting 1900 parts per billion is a fire alarm. We can't stop natural wetland emissions, but human-caused emissions can be reduced quickly. At COP26 in Glasgow, the most recent UN climate change summit, which we all know and love, right? More than 100 nations signed that global methane pledge. And I'm going to keep this on. Promising to cut methane emissions by 30% by 2030. It should be noticed and broadcast worldwide on a weekly basis that the biggest emitters, including China, India, Russia, Qatar, and Australia, refused to pledge. Yes, they refused to cut methane emissions. The named countries want nothing to do with any attempts to diminish global warming's favorite point of supply. Thus and therefore, the question arises whether the global methane pledge will be one more sour failure in the world's lame-ass attempts to mitigate climate change and global warming. It sure looks that way. Moreover, this repeating failure of nations to take on mitigation effects is more than frustrating. It is endangering the equilibrium of the planet to support life. This taxing, nonsensical routine of nation states committing to mitigation plans and not following through. Example, Paris's 2015, like the first article I read, or refusing to commit to key mitigation efforts alongside other nation states. Example, the global methane pledge is starting to look like the kiss of death on autopilot. Evidently, the horrifying message that global warming is nearly out of control, runaway global warming, is not getting through to world leaders that are able to make a difference. The frustrating fact has led some climate scientists to consider tossing in the towel, stop research and stop writing papers, and go on strike. The lackadaisical attitude by world leaders reflects a world that has actually turned anti-intellectual, anti-science, and just when it's needed the most. If it were otherwise, with scientists held in highest esteem, a lot of the planet's upcoming dark era, it could be eliminated. So there's Robert Hunzinger. Jesus. WASF. You read this, WASF. So I'm just gonna go on quickly because we've been an hour and 16 minutes. I want to introduce you to somebody who's going to be on with me Friday night. His channel is Vox Terra. He doesn't have a lot of subscriptions. I watch him. He does a decent climate show. He's a reporter and he's got a voice. He's got a voice. Let me see if I'll just give you the voice really quickly.
A year. Well, that's a heck of a lot of fossil fuels being burned and pumped into the atmosphere. And then as we walk through this chart together, let me know if you get the same historic lessons I do. Those lessons are warnings ignored, solutions thwarted, business as usual going unquestioned, and the focus on foreign adversaries as a means to protect that business as usual.
All right, so he will be on our show Friday night with me. I hope that you guys will join us. Again, he's a very tiny channel. I found him quite a while ago, and I do like to find tiny channels and broadcast them. I'm a tiny channel. And thanks, Matt. We're loud. Am I loud today? I don't know. His name is Vox Terra, Poppy. You want to see? Okay, here we go. Vox Terra. See it? I'll put the link in there. He's got a Patreon, and he follows. He's kind of mainstream, but he's not bad. I mean, I do like his voice. I have to say that. Yeah. Oh, you like him? Good. Oh, this is great. Yeah, he'll be with me on Friday night, and you all need to go subscribe. And he does really short videos. He's not like me who does big, long shows that go on forever and ever, which I probably should start cutting up and making little pieces. But, I'm different. I'm a different broadcaster. I am live, which is very different. Oh, and I just want to throw out to Kim. Kim had a family member who had an accident. So we are thinking of your family member, sweetheart. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming. I love you all. You make me feel better. Yesterday, I worked for 8 hours compiling 4 years of audio that I had taken. I started recording things in my life so that I would know that I wasn't going crazy. And the person I recorded knew I was recording him. And my other channel is, you know what. All right, guys. I love you. Help us out. There's no way I'll be able to ever afford to get. So maybe I could be your, donation for this. I'm not a mosquito net, but a good computer might help us a little bit better. A better one than this one. So thank you. I love you guys. All right. And we'll see you Friday night. Oops. We'll see you Friday night with Vox Terra. All right. Peace out and thank you. Christopher Spavins, I'll put all the names up. I love you guys. I love you. I'll put this one on so uses less bandwidth. I took that in Florida. I love you. I love you too, Rich Diana. And Phil Stone. We love our Rich.